A lot of big stories today, but we can only add a perspective to a lot of trending stories. Of course, welcome to another edition of the Dex here on Global Television. My name is Deacon Michael. I have an in-house public affairs analyst, of course, who will be joining his voice to add to the already big stories that were actually brought to your news feed today. We'll begin the story with the fact that EFCC seems to still be going after the former governor of Kogi State. What steps has been taken so far? They have declared him wanted, and of course, even the police have withdrawn all the security, men that were attached to the former governor. This is in a bid to fact that he's highly wanted. The Attorney General of the Federation have also asked him to present himself before EFCC. All of this has been a concern in the news. What happens where, a system or institutions invite a former governor or even a governor or even any political office holder? What are the steps that should be in place? How do we get to arrest the situation so that it will not actually be, it's actually a money laundering issue, and it's not just something that must be swept under the carpet. I'm joined by Aliyu, of course, who's also here to join his voice to the conversations. Welcome to the show.
It's my pleasure, Michael.
Yeah, let's take a look at the fact that EFCC have declared Yahaya Bello wanted. The day before yesterday, we saw the video from his residence where EFCC attempted to invade into his house, where even the governor had visited him to rescue him. And many people have criticized the current governor going to the residence of Yahaya Bello. But however, do you feel that Yahaya Bello is actually doing, he's doing more than he can actually contend with the government?
Well, Michael, first of all, when you look at these issues, sometimes I begin to ask myself, we Nigerians, are we really ready to, fight corruption? Because looking at that, situations, this is someone that has really milked, the treasury of Kogi State. Looking at Kogi State today, that place is nothing to write home about. There are no infrastructural development. The indigents are not feeling the impacts of governance. And looking at this, over 80 billion naira, it's a whole lot. Sometimes, I begin to wonder, we Nigerians, are Nigerians not tired of suffering? Because, you've seen someone that has really, drifted your whole state backwards and seen his indigents outside his premises, protesting, saying that they shouldn't arrest him. And looking at the EFCC too, the EFCC is being so unprofessional. Why would you call for military support in order to, arrest a past, sitting governor? This whole thing doesn't sound professional at all. Because looking at this whole issue, Yahaya Bello is being too, he seems to be scared about this thing because he feels guilty about this. Because once your tracks are cleared, why wouldn't you present yourself to the law enforcement agencies for investigations, things like that? Because this is something that is, really, portraying the youths of in the country in another kind of manner, because this is someone that was the youngest governor.
Yeah.
And this is someone that is meant to represent the interest of the youths. Now it's now making it look like, youths coming into power will be worse than this old chaps over there. And also presenting himself for president. You did nothing, you achieved nothing in your own states, and now presenting yourselves for, elections. This is nothing to write home about.
Yeah, in a bid to addressing these issues, putting out to rest, one may begin to ask what other means can the EFCC get him? I understand that the court has given an order for him to be arranged in the court, and of course for him to be arrested by the EFCC, and also a court order restricting the EFCC from going after his arrest. What happened if at the end of the day it does not even show up? I mean, what do you feel might be the next action? I understand that they have also threatened the fact that they may use the soldiers to invade into, if he's hiding in the government house, to invade into the government house. Do you feel that any worse can actually happen afterwards?
Definitely. Looking at this, he feels like being in the ruling party, and he worked for the party to come into government and also delivering his own states to the ruling party. He feels he's entitled to this form of backyard immunity, whereby they can't, no one will be able to arrest him based on the fact that he is still within the ruling party, stuff like that. We feel the EFCC needs to be more professional in this. They don't need any support. They don't need any support at all. And also, they need to discipline the police officers attached to former Governor Yahaya Bello, because they are the ones preventing the EFCC operatives from making that arrest. And this is uncalled for, because this is someone defying orders placed by the law enforcement agencies.
All right, let's move away from the issues here there in Kogi State and the former governor of Kogi to another, trending story, issues about the freedom of speech. Zamfara government have restricted public officers from granting interviews. They've restricted the civil servant. They've also restricted the political office holders from granting interviews. This has sparked a lot of controversy. What happened to the freedom of speech? What happened to, access to information, and of course, being open to, being transparent in a bit in government. Should government begins to counter, should a state government begin to counter if the constitution, the law in the constitution of the country, because we have a freedom of speech in this country. We have a law that governs that. What happened? What are the steps that Zamfara State, has come out to take in a bid to disrupt the current freedom of speech bill, that has already been signed into law in the country? Talk about that. This is only a move, a dictatorial move by the government of Zamfara, because it doesn't warrant a point where you are actually stopping a lot of journalists from getting information from the politicians and also the civil servants.
First of all, looking at this situation, it's more of placing those sanctions to political appointees and the Zamfara state government. As a government, you need to have a communications policy, whereby you need to know who to represent the government when it's in terms of dissemination of informations, and also what to say and when not to say. Because when you're looking at these things, when you make the grounds open for any political appointee to go on to grant interviews without following that framework, it tends to make the government have such kind of discrepancies in terms of disseminating information to the general public at large. Looking at this, we've had a lot of communication lapses over the years, in the sense that the governments don't employ public relations practitioners into to enable them provide professional consultations to them in terms of disseminations of information. They rather use journalists, because when you look at journalism and public relations, it's way different. They're two ball games, different ball games entirely. So every state needs to come up with a communication policy whereby they need to know who is in charge of sending that information to the public at large. And I feel that's what the Zamfara state government is doing right now. And looking at the state government having different crises, like combating the issues of banditry and kidnappings, and also this whole thing leads to sometimes discrepancies and false spreading of information. So they need to design a communications framework. They are not trying to say no one shouldn't grant interviews to the press. For you to grant interviews to the press as a public office holder, you need to go through the appropriate channel in order to grant approval before you can grant interviews to the press.
All right, we'll go on a quick break right now. We're trying to get some of our guests connected to us via Zoom. So we'll go on a quick break right now. Once we return, we'll take a look at more stories. Do stay with us. How many times for still stay with us? We're taking a look at the fact of freedom of speech and information have been stalled in Zamfara State, where government have restricted public officers in granting interviews. And of course, Ali was actually making emphasis on recruiting right practitioners to handle these informations of government. But more to the fact that fact-finding, transparency, checks and balances at the role where journalists keeps on playing in the government. Do you feel that this will start all of these? When you've restricted people from actually speaking out, don't you feel that journalists may begin to have another perspective to, news or actions or policies of government?
Well, the government is not trying to, fully restrict political appointees from granting interviews to the press. What they're trying to do is to protect the image of the states, whereby coming up with a communications policy, in the sense that once you are trying to grant interviews to the press, you need to seek an approval from the appropriate channels. You need to go through that channel in order to seek such approvals, so that they can have an effective way of communicating between the government and the people at large. And this will go a long way in terms of spreading fake news, and hate speech, and also. So this would go a long way in order to fix the communication lapses faced in government. And this thing needs to be adopted by other, state governments in order to, have an effective flow of communications.
All right, many thanks for the contribution. To move away from that story to the fact that JAM has ordered arrest of parents that are found near CBT centers as they are set to write, of course, it's still ongoing, the 2024 UTME. There are some restrictions, there are some commentaries from Nigerians. We'll take a look from Samuel Jimo, who is saying that JAM, today is JAM examination. I don't know why parents follow grown up to the exam center. Will you follow them to the university when they finally gain admission? Which kind of parenting style is this one? This has gotten to the point where JAM are now saying if you get any, asking the CBT owners if they find any parents at the facilities close to the centers, they should get them to arrest. Some Nigerians are arguing also, should it be that, is there any malpractice that parents get to encourage at visiting JAM centers?
This has to do with the issues of intimidations of the CBT personnel with, cash gifts in order to, enable some form of like infractions into the centers. This can easily intimidate, the personnel in order to, give rooms for, candidates to come into the examination hall with foreign materials. But looking at this, over the years, JAM has like improved, its, examination, policies whereby the examinations are proctored, whereby in each center there need to be cameras that, that could, connect to the server of the JAM headquarters to see what's really going on in order to check any form of malpractice in there. But it's uncalled for parents to like, move in with their wards into, JAM CBT centers. It's so really uncalled for because they are grown-ups and they have gone through, your ward has gone through like a 6-year, educational program. Then what's now the fear of like them writing such exams because they're being tested for what they've like gone through in classrooms.
Yeah, I mean, there are some other allegations and accused the fact that the malpractice at the JAM centers are sometimes being even sponsored by the CBT owners. And now that you are giving them powers to go after parents instead of JAM to go after them, do you feel it's about leaving Mr. A to go after Mr. B when you also understand that Mr. A is also part of the corrupt system?
This is two ways, In every JAM CBT center, you tend to see security personnel there, like most, especially the civil defense, corps members there. And I feel JAM needs to like adopt more technologies. They need to improve their technologies because in each JAM center, there's a policy whereby there needs to be like a camera installation in there, which makes the examinations proctored, So they need to look at for ways in order to like checkmate this, imbalances within their centers.
All right. How do we begin to curb issues of malpractice? I mean, I understand that you've laid emphasis of installing cameras and all of that. In a bit of trying to, because there are some people that are still, getting admission into universities without even still passing through or writing even this JAM. We still have a lot of people still having their way, maneuvering their way. Even technology have even done worse to the fact that some person even get answers to questions even before time and access to so many informations of management. Information management has been an issue within the JAM, the examination sector.
Well, when you look at these cases, you tend to find out that the quality of education being delivered in the country today, it's, the quality is really dropping, in the sense that we don't have professional teachers in, schools whereby they need to go through, a proper training in College of Education and also passing through the teachers registration councils, whereby they can write exams to obtain that license to, teach. There's something about teaching. It has no formula to it. It's just an art, and it has its principles. Now, you look at, based on the issues of unemployment, you see a whole lot of like graduates like getting employed into schools because the teaching job is something that's it's really it's high. The demand is very high, but the condition of service is very poor. So you need to look at the teachers' welfare. You need to review it because a lot of these people are just teaching without any form of encouragement or you need to look at their review their welfare package in order to boost their morale so that they can enable them have like a high level of efficiency in discharging their duties. So I feel we need to stop recruiting unqualified teachers into schools because employment of teachers into the government schools, the unity schools today, it's not based on merit. It's based on the level of connections. They need to employ licensed teachers into the schools in order to improve the educational sector, and also the curriculum review. The curriculum is really archaic, and they need to make that curriculum review in order to restructure it, for it to move in line with the latest, educational trends.
Yeah, I mean, let's move over to Rivers State crisis. The police has allegedly arrested some Rivers lawmakers yesterday at the PDP headquarters at the cause of the presidential, the NEC meeting, the highest body of People's Democratic Party. Let's talk about yesterday, the NWC. So many things happened, including the arrest of, there's a rift between the fact that Wike's camp are still having with Fubara and all of that. But away from that issue, what do you feel, the resolution that came out yesterday from NWC, was that what was expected? Has peace been restored in the opposition party, PDP?
First of all, concerning the arrest of those officials, those people, especially the assembly member, is a loyalist to the governor of Rivers State. And we've heard about the rifts between Nyesom Wike and Governor Fubara. This Nyesom Wike is the FCT minister, and he has the machineries, the security machineries that is.
We're surprised to see him in the meeting yesterday. Yesterday, the day before yesterday as well.
Well, I wasn't surprised to see him in the meeting because he claims to still be with the PDP and still trying to have such form of relevance, and due to the interest that he has in terms of hijacking the party structure,
So you can say it's PDP in the morning and APC in the night.
Most definitely, it seems to be that he's restless, And
so why is the party not sanctioning? Because people were expecting that the part of the resolutions, yesterday in the meeting would be the fact that because of inter-party affairs, you've afflicted, you've gone against the party constitution, which would have warranted either a suspension or some sort of sanctions.
This is politics. You don't, take actions based on emotions. At the appropriate time, the right decision will be taken, because from the end, the NEC meeting, the reports concerning the anti-party activities by Nyesom Wike has been, presented to the NWC. We have more problems that we need to tackle. The issues of Wike, it's not something we should.
So what was tackled? What was the problem? What was the resolutions?
Well, the report has been submitted, and the action of that report will be implemented in due time. But first of all, the most important thing, because the NWC is doing things on finding solutions to issues based on in order of priority, because looking at the national chairman, the national acting chairman, whereby some party members called for a convention, but the resolutions reached by the NWC, stipulates that they have to, ensure that the North Central still retains the national chairmanship, and whereby the former national chairman, who also hails from the North Central, Ayu, has also, withdrawn his case from the courts. So now the NWC has given the North Central caucus to come together and, shop for a candidate that would fill that space. So in due time, we will be having a new national chairman in the PDP, and also having some mini conventions into some vacant.
So are you very confident that Damagum will be able to lead the party till August? Because I know they are proposing August for the convention.
Yes, definitely he will be, because the NWC has come into an agreement. There's nothing to panic about. This is a political party whereby you find in every political party there's always crisis, because politics is a game of interest. You see people coming from different walks of life with different interests. So we need to come together to have a common direction. So we are just waiting for the North Central, caucus to come up with their own candidates that would lead the affairs of the party soon.
Due to the high cost of food and the inflations heating up the markets, the commission in charge of customers protection has hit up the street, and this has means a move to regulate the prices in the market. We had earlier discussed this here on the program, here on the TV program. Of course, we'll be taking a look at this in the perspective shortly after this break, as we will be bringing you, a side-to-side development to some of these attempts by the commissions in charge of customers protection in the move to regulate market prices. Just stay with us. Many of us still with us here on the decks. Of course, we'll take a look at the food inflation hitting up the market as the commissions in charge of customers protection on the streets of Abuja, Lagos, and other cities, closing down some shops and supermarkets in a bid to regulate market prices. Some persons are saying it's not the right of government to invade markets, to determine the prices in the market. And so the marketers are now saying, we are the one that bought the goods. Sometimes we bought the goods as when the dollars was about 1,800. And even the market woman who says he or she had moved some goods from a particular, village, rural area to the cities. It spends so much on transportation. This has not been able to be an easy judgment to take. Which side do you feel that should be able to be aware out of these controversies?
The Consumer Protection Commission, needs to do a lot of review in these prices, and in the sense that some shops and supermarkets are like taking advantage of, the forex exchange in order to inflate prices. But looking at the situation now, the naira now gains against the dollar, and we, are expecting those shops and supermarkets to, deflate their prices, but they are still taking advantage over this. And now time for the Consumer Protection Commission to look into these, areas and see how they can come up with a price mechanism in order to help address these issues and regulate the prices that will be fair to consumers. So they need to ensure that they protect, the interest of consumers.
Yeah, another issue sparking is about the fact that government are not doing anything regarding transportation. After the subsidy removal, Nigerians were expecting that issues of transportation will be subsidized so that, it can help some of these local farmers be able to cope in moving some of the agricultural produce back here to the cities for consumption. this is also giving rise to food inflation in the country. And sometimes the determining factor of their price has been highly influenced by the fact that they spend so much on transportation. Do you feel that government must begin to do something regarding transportation cost?
Well, this whole issue boils down to the removal of subsidy, but that's it was a wrong step taken by the government while they came into power earlier on. They need to, first of all, ensure that the refineries are working, whereby we know that we are refining our oil resources, which will also make the price clamp down. And now the government has made some moves in order to introduce CNGs, but the CNG programs that they have launched, hasn't the impacts hasn't been felt by citizens. So we feel they need to be a review on that program in order to ensure that the citizens feel the impacts of the CNG conversion programs, and also see how they could help regulate prices of cost of transportation, and also empower Nigerians with vehicles in order to have a hitch-free transportation system, and also look at other avenues the rail and also the maritime the transportation sector. So they need to see how they could help the citizens subsidize these prices and clamp them down.
It must be clamped, because if not well managed, it might get escalated. I mean, it also gets to the fact that even when we are clapping hands for the CBN for the job well done so far, in fighting naira dollars to about 1,000 naira, so 1,000 naira. But let's begin as we wrap up this conversation. What more should the government begin to do? I understand PDP has criticized the administrations of Tinubu's economic policy, but some Nigerians are saying, some persons are saying that, Cardoso CBN is on the right step. Do you feel that in your assessment, economic policies so far made by the government has a future to strengthen the economy, whereby it's not also push Nigeria to more poverty? Because it looks that sometimes the policies of this government are fantastic, but it's gradually pushing some Nigerians to poverty, because an extent where minimum wage has not been increased, but one pays more on house rent, one pays more on transportation, one pays more on electricity bill and all of that. Do you feel that they can well manage so that even when they are trying to bring in more policies, they won't push more Nigerians to poverty?
First of all, when you look at this, issues being faced by the government, first of all, we kept hearing about the Renewed Hope agenda. As a government, what do you need to do once you come into government and you set up your cabinet? You have a plan, you have an agenda which you call the Renewed Hope. I've paid close attention to that document, and I've gotten to notice that the government hasn't called for a retreat in order to sensitize the cabinet members to move in line, in sync with that, policy documents, that Renewed Hope agenda. It seems to be everybody and the government now tends to do whatever they feel like. They need to sync with that roadmap. That roadmap serves as a direction for the cabinet members to follow in order to reposition Nigeria towards that proposed strategic directions by the president, But that hasn't been done. That's why we've been having some lapses in terms of, economic setbacks and policy engineering. And again, the government has not been able to translate their strategies into actions. They are just more of designing policies where the execution process is, nothing to write home about. That's why we are still in this fix and still making the government struggling in order to find, preferred solutions to Nigeria's economic issues.
All right, many thanks, Bilal Aliyu, public affairs analyst, for joining us and adding your voice to the conversations here on the program, The Dex. and that's the size of the package. Of course, we'll bring it to you today on the decks. We look forward. I'll see you again on Monday for another edition on fresh top stories that will be coming right by 6 p.m. We'll be bringing you the news cycle here on Global Television. Do stay with us. Don't go away.